We are going to showcase today a Pathfinder build that I am currently playing in hardcore right now, level 87. We're pushing some tier 15s. We'll go ahead and show you a quick map, and if you're interested in hearing about the build, there will be a build showcase at the end. Right now, I'll just quickly give you a brief explanation on how the build works, and then we'll go into the map. Premise is very simple. We have a weapon swap to a crossbow. Basic shot is not really used. It's only to switch us to a crossbow. And when we're on our crossbow, we will dodge roll. And when we dodge roll, as you can see, we will lay out caltrops. And we will continue to dodge roll until these caltrops maim, pin, poison, blind, all types of effects. Deal a lot of damage to enemies. And as they walk over, you simply swap to the Voltaxic Rift, very beautiful bow. And you start laying down poison shots, and you start building up poison stacks. Because again, we are playing Pathfinder, and Pathfinder's name to fame is generating poison. We use Barrage to fire off a little bit more poisons, and that's it. So we aggro a bunch of mobs, we get them to follow us into our traps, and we lay down poisons on top of it. So that's it. Let's show you guys a quick map here. Sorry about that. We will go to a tier 15. We won't make it too fancy since I am just showing this off right now. We'll go here.
Well, the ravages of time.
Yeah, just for demo purposes. Again, we do play hardcore. I'm only level 87. I don't have too much chaos resistance. You know, my EHP could be much better. So let's get to it. All right. So I like to lay down some caltrops, let the enemies walk into them. They even survive some of our poison shots here, which they probably won't. We do have fairly good DPS, but we'll show you here what the Trail of Green is really all about. Okay, make sure there's nothing over there. So they really did make it to where you get sun quite often, which is why we have a nice wind blast, but you can just kind of ring around the rosy here with these mobs. And yeah, just let our caltrops do the work. This is a panic roll friendly build. So if you find yourself panic rolling often, all you have to do is just switch to your crossbow and then you start panic rolling. And the switch isn't too bad. As you can see, I can switch, and then the panic roll is actually like a brief animation cancel as well. And so you can see, caltrops, stickler mobs walk into them and have a little bit of movement on him. Mobs that stay stagnant, it's, a little bit more difficult. I do have some knockback set up to where, likely enemies will get into that. And should probably turn this stuff off. Trade one if you're playing hardcore is really just the general strat. So, the woods I'll drop. Here we go. Stone 15. Only day. Alright, got some fast mobs. So anytime you see fast mobs like that approaching, we just go ahead and hop into our dodge roll. And we find the ranged mobs. We don't like those guys. Just kind of lead everything around here. So yeah, you will see me picking up loot because again, it's just kind of how I play. I'm not going to show off anything else other than how I play and kind of maybe your average Joe's experience. I'm not the best player. Only made it to level 88 on hardcore so far this season. And that was as a Chronomancer, which was a lot of fun. Ember Folosay. Chronomancer's new Unleash tech. It's actually very strong with certain skills that, like build up projectiles or need a lot of cast speed or things like that. So you may be able to do like a Summon Raging Spirits or an Ember Folosade or Folosade or however you pronounce it.
Burst.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun mixed with Blink and a lot of recoup. Had over 104% life regen
Too
recoup.
weak, too slow.
And with the new Sacrosanctum, that's what it's called, chess piece, that allows you to convert. That was a lot of fun. But here I am talking about a completely different build as I'm showcasing a build. And so Essences are a lot of fun because you can just build up some Caltrops and that do the work there unless it chases you. Pretty funny. So again, I'm kind of your average Joe, backtrack there, no big deal. You just get sidetracked, just keep playing. If you see the name of the channel, you may understand why I kind of play at a slower pace than some people.
In my sight.
Do you pick up this for chance shards? Why not? So our Poison Prolift is very nice. I wish we could increase the range on it. As in, I wish area of effect modifiers affected the skill. Give us something other than the 1.5 meters. It is still quite nice here. Ooh, a unique Priest Cursor tablet. I'll take that. So again, fast mobs. We're going to go ahead and just start hitting the dodge roll. Bring them into a crevice like that. And the game seems very designed to kind of just, with this almost like MMO, old school MMO, group and play type of mentality where you just group up a bunch of mobs and, lay down some fire. It is nice with your one button builds, a lot of chain effects and things like that. This isn't quite a one button build, but it's fun with the WSAD. You only really need the 3 buttons here to really, get to feel good. I haven't even really used the barrage too much. Let's see what that looks like, but we can see map complete. I am going to just go ahead and finish up some of these mobs here, as it's just a pretty juicy map. Gotten some good items from it, and a few exalts here, a few chaos here. Go ahead and just barrage these guys down. There we go. Play some Caltrops. So you can see the Poison Prolift does its job. Don't have to worry about too much out here. We do have a Blasphemy aura to kind of slow things down. You could do Despair for more damage. Sure. I do rock Withering Presence as well, so you can start to see there's some Withering stacks that will build up on enemies. So if you're playing softcore, go with Despair, why not? But yeah, that's kind of the premise here. Again, you just lay out some Caltrops and fire your bow shots on top. So we'll go over the skill gem setup, and then we'll go over the item setup. So the first things first is the skill gem setup for our Voltaxic Rift bow. We come down here to the bottom. We really just use Wind Dancer for some added evasion ready. Everybody knows about this one. You get a little bit of extra knockback distance on it, get a little bit of a more area of effect. And then I'm not sure if this works, but hey, if it's in use and you get hit and an enemy, should be stunning you, this is proccing the effect. Hopefully it gives us a little bit more stun threshold. So, you saw I got stunned a few times when I took some hits, but we'll see if this has any extra effect. Somebody can help me out in the comments. That'd be great. Poisonburst arrow right now, currently only I believe I've got like a level 19 skill gem in here, maybe a level 18 skill gem. Yeah, level 19 if I'm not correct. But we've got it up to level 24. And what this does is it fires an arrow, doesn't really hit, but it acts like it does, and creates a poison explosion at the end of it. And I got some enhanced quality for some magnitude of poison. So, poison burst arrow, you socket this with chaos infusion for some added extra chaos damage, of course. Deadly poison for more magnitude of your poisons. Komori, which basically allows you to get you another poison stack at the cost, always got to have a cost of some less poison duration, so our poisons don't last as long. But as Pathfinder, the extra stack actually means that we get another extra stack due to our ascendancy. This is actually 2 extra poisons. It's worth it. Martial tempo, 20% more attack speed, just to get those poisons accumulating. And then profanity. This is kind of a flex slot. Feel free to do what you like with this. Minion Pact is very useful if you want to rock a companion with this build, or maybe a Roa with some life on it. What have you. But excuse me, at the end of the day, I like profanity, helps clear up some of the corpses on the ground and allows us to do a little bit more damage. As playing hardcore, some of those corpse explosions can be a little nasty. So firing this off might be able to help clean some of that stuff up. Withering Presence. Anytime an enemy enters your presence, they gain a Wither stack. Wither basically increases your chaos damage per stack. The more stacks, the more chaos damage. That's basically it. So you got to kind of hang out in their presence to accumulate stacks. There's other ways to accumulate stacks on this build. If you wanted to drop one at the Trail of Caltrops, or if you had like an unset ring, another gem slot, you could probably do like a Dark Effigy with some Withering Touch, which allows your Dark Effigy to fire off, and anytime you poison an enemy, it's going to shoot off a Dark Effigy projectile, which counts as a hit, which is going to allow you to get multiple Withering stacks. Personally, simple Withering Presence. More skill effect duration on it, plus level to chaos skills. This is really just to keep this gem in here. When I'm bossing, I may actually end up swapping this out between Poison Burst Arrow, just to be able to make sure that if there's no corpses in a boss's arena, I still get a little bit of added extra damage, to my Poison Burst Arrow. So that's great. A little bit of mana regen from Clarity. It's helpful. Flex slot as well. Blasphemy. Now, this one, again, I'm rock in hardcore, so I use Temporal Chains. You can use Despair if you're in softcore for more added DPS, or if you just want to risk it, you can rock, some more DPS. Again, Despair is a great option. And Feeble, any other curse really would be helpful, but I do like the Temporal Chains because it does help, with the poison duration on enemies. And it also slows them down, so I can kind of roll around, get my Trail of Caltrops out quicker, do the weapon swap and everything without them really hitting me in most ways, unless I'm playing lazily like you saw earlier. Curses from enemies, they're supposed to spread when they die. This is socketable in here, but, not sure this actually works because this is cast as an aura. But anyways, Barrage, we have just, a little bit of extra projectiles getting fired off here. Those extra projectiles do have an added cooldown time. They, do a little less damage, but it's nice because when we empower it, we get those poison stacks built up pretty quickly, and we can get the cooldown down pretty quickly as well. So, you get it back in just a few seconds here. So that's the Voltaxic Rift arrow setup. Now I'm going to switch over to the crossbow here. The crossbow is actually what I rocked, pretty much leveling this character. The Voltaxic Rift is a very high level requirement of 79. So, I was rocking this crossbow and press level to Alpraj crossbows before, because Trail of Caltrops is an amazing skill. And this is what I really wanted to build this build around. Playing hardcore, always being in melee range or dodging into an enemy, as you can see, can be a little sketchy. So I like having the weapon swap tech, and I really enjoy that that technology that they've come up with in the tree as well to allow this to work. But essentially, the crossbow shot itself doesn't really do much. I mean, yeah, it has a pretty high flat DPS here, but I don't really use it. It has Culling Strike. We get a little bit of life on Cull. If we're using it, Energy Shield recharge begins immediately. It's not interrupted. This could be, anything else. I'm just trying this out to see if it actually helps out. And leech, we're gonna life or leech some mana back whenever we use this skill because the poison burst actually does eat away at our mana, but the trail of caltrops does not. So if we're ever in crossbow mode and we just want to get some of that mana back, we can easily do so by just hitting a couple enemies here or popping off a quick cull on a rare. Um, Ghost Dance, very important. So this will allow our energy shield to recover by percentage of our evasion rating. And yeah, it just gives us a healthy, regen whenever we have Ghost Shrouds. So you can see up here, we have about 4 Ghost Shrouds. Anytime we get hit, spends a Ghost Shroud, get 5% of our energy shield back. And we are an energy shield, life, and evasion based build. So hey, why not? Now, Trail of Caltrops. We do socket 3 Trail of Caltrops in here. And I've got quality up to 20 on 2 of them. I definitely need a quality this one as well. But I'll show you the setup and kind of why I'm using 3 of these and what all 3 of them do and what some options that you can do with them. So Trail of Caltrops, as it reads here, is essentially while active, scatters caltrops in your wake when you dodge, right? When we saw that earlier, anytime I dodge roll, it scatters 3 caltrops. Now, only 3 per dodge roll, so that's why I have 3 of them, so you get 3, 6, 9. And of course, there's support gems, which increases the amount whenever you dodge roll as well, such as scatter shot, you know, that increases the amount of projectiles that you get. So even the new salvo gem works with the skill so that when you're dodge rolling, you're scattering more caltrops. And if you read this caltrop skill, it has its own base physical damage. So it operates kind of like a totem. So the best way to scale this is actually, of course, level to all projectile skills because you can see up here at the top it has the projectile tag. It also is a physical attack, so you may be able to figure out some things with that too, but projectile, physical, very easy here. And then increases and reductions to thorns damage applied to hit damage with the skill. Now that's pretty cool. There are, a few percent increases to thorns damage in the tree. There is a new support gem, which we do utilize to give percent thorns damage increase, damage bonus. And then, of course, there's some unique items which give you some pretty crazy thorns damage. Now, we don't really scale thorns in any form or fashion in this build. This trail of caltrops is not like the support gem caltrops that you may actually want to use thorns with, but this one does maim on hit, so that slows them and it reduces the evasion rating by the enemies anytime it gets hit. The caltrop's radius itself, so each individual caltrop radius is extremely small. It's only about 0.5 meters, so enemy has to be practically on top of it to hit, or you have to scale quite a bit of area of effect, which this build does not do. It could do, but does not do in order for this caltrop to, really land and hit an enemy and feel a little bit better in that regard. And I do wish this build had a little bit more area of effect, but, you know, we'll see how that looks in softcore. But right now we're playing hardcore. And so in this first setup is really just a utility setup. So it blinds enemies. I have knockback on enemies. So when you lay out the caltrop, hopefully this set of caltrops will knock the enemy into the other set of caltrops that we have out, right? So that kind of helps out with the small area of effect the caltrop actually has. And it helps out for those enemies that don't really move, like archers that stand in place, that at least caltrop 1 will hit them and then it'll bump them into caltrop 2 and 3 or 5 and 6 or 7 and 8 of the other caltrops here. All right. This also, Thorn Skin is very interesting and new support gem. As you can see here, it does affect the damage modifier. So as long as you have this active, you're going to need a 40% increased bonus. So we do sacrifice about 20 spirit to rock this. Why not? We'd rock Bone Shrapnel in this utility setup caltrop. And this is very important because this allows for this utility setup to create an area of effect explosion whenever an enemy is pinned and this hits the enemy and kills them. It's going to actually create this bone shrapnel explosion where it deals 25% of the pinned target's maximum life as physical damage. This is percent of target's maximum physical life, or as maximum life as physical damage, excuse me. So this is really cool because it actually always scales to the enemy. So no matter what, if you're in a tier 15 or a tier 1 or just going through maps, or excuse me, going through the campaign, whatever it may be, you'll be able to always have this doing some good clear. It's very helpful on that. Now, of course, this cannot pin enemies. So how do we pin enemies, right? And that brings us to the Caltrop number 2. So this one has the pin support, the lockdown support for pin buildup. So this creates the pin on the enemies that this one will eventually explode. All of these have a chance to poison. So we do have Poisonburst, right? So Poisonburst creates a explosion of poison damage whenever an enemy dies. So if an enemy dies from this Caltrop or this Caltrop, we have an explosion going off, right? Either poison explosion or bone shrapnel explosion, and actually likely both of them. And then we do have rearm on this setup where hazards created by the supported skills have a 25% chance to rearm after they're triggered. So basically, once they're triggered, 1 in 4 of the Caltrop will rearm, do another hit of damage. So very useful there. And then Caltrops number 3 here is our, kind of our damaging Caltrop, even though it has lower damage here. So we have more maximum physical hit for heft. We have Scatter Shot, which Scatter Shot does work with the number of projectiles that the Caltrop lays. So that does increase the number of DPS that this unit does in comparison to the other one. Because this one rolls 6, this one rolls 3, this one rolls 3. Okay. And if you're Gemling Legionnaire, you could probably socket Scatter Shot in each one of these so that you actually have a greater number of Caltrops rolling out. We do have an interesting support setup here. So we have delayed reaction, which makes it to where the hazard is either triggered immediately if it's on top of the enemy, or it has to be triggered at the end of its duration. So you'll see those right there that just exploded. That are these Trail of Caltrops here. So the premise is when I'm rolling into an enemy, these Caltrops will hit an enemy and then lower the life, right? We've got the poison build up on this. We've got damage coming from this. So everything will hit the enemy and lower the life. And then if the enemy is still, taking the degen from the chaos and so forth, they'll be on low life. And then so the delayed reaction will trigger the execute, where you have 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. So it's actually a little bit better if it does hit that delayed reaction. Let's say it hits, the enemy walks into some of these other Caltrops, starts taking the damage, they go down to low life, and then that delayed reaction pops off. Boom, you get a bigger hit with this one. So kind of deceiving here in terms of the damage output on this Trail of Caltrops, just strictly because of the Scatter Shot lowering, the sheet DPS, and the execute here. Which we'll go ahead and highlight the sheet DPS now on all the skills so you guys can kind of see what we're dealing with here. So when we're looking at Trail of Caltrops, you want to go over here to the Trail Caltrops screen for the additional descriptions. And you can see here average damage per use. I've got some physical damage. We've got a little bit of chaos damage. And then the poison damage per second. So this is based off of the crossbow, which has a pretty tight range. And you can see here we've got plus level to all projectile skills, which would really help out. But the poison DPS is really helpful. And then you can see Caltrops per burst, 3 Caltrops per burst, Caltrops radius, more hit damage, all that good stuff. Now, if you come to the second one here, you can see current DPS. Caltrops per burst is 1. All right, but if all 3 hits, I believe it's 3 times this hit damage here. So very deceiving DPS coming out of this. If you pull this up in Path of Building, you'll see this is actually roughly closer to 35,000 DPS with all of the stacks of poison on top of it. We can get up to, again, it's about 6 stacks of poison. And just doing a quick highlight there. And then we'll might as well do that for the Poisonburst arrow too. So the Poisonburst arrow has a much wider range on the poison, strictly because of the wide range of lightning damage on the bow, which is getting converted to chaos damage. So that's why we have a much wider and higher range of poison damage on our Poisonburst arrow than, say, the Caltrops do. All right, so now we'll go over gear. So Voltaxic Rift is, again, the bow that we are using here, which is allowing us to convert our lightning damage into chaos damage, and our chaos damage contributes to shock chance. So very cool bow here. You could actually use this with Herald of Thunder, and Herald of Thunder hits and procs a poison, and you may be able to do some interesting, cool things with that, which I might do. But right now, the Trail of Caltrops is really fun, and it's how I started this build. So the Voltaxic Rift is great. And then the Hands of Wisdom in action. Everybody knows about this. It was nerfed this patch or this season or whatever you want to call it, Dawn of the Hunt. And I actually didn't use it last season. So I'm using it this season for the added lightning damage to attacks. Probably will try out some other rares to see if a rare will be equally as good. But for now, this is working. We do have an Ingenuity, also nerfed this league. I do like it just because of the extra flask recovery is applied instantly. It allows me to do a larger life flask and be able to still get some good regen back from it. And then the increased bonuses from the left and right ring allows me to get my resistances capped and also a little bit of flat lightning damage off the ring and physical damage off the ring. Not much, honestly, but why not? I am considering a Rylatha's coil, that belt, for this build. But we don't really do a lot of physical as it's mainly lightning, so that's probably out of the picture. But anyways, our boots are not the best. Movement speed, resistance is life, mana is not needed. Get better boots. Body armor, also, not the best. I play hardcore, right? So this is just high energy shield or decent energy shield with some spirit, some flat life on it, some intelligence, which I need, and fire resistance low, enter requirement, which was helpful while I was actually at that level of 65. Could probably use a much better base now. Rings are, they're okay as well, but we've got Tri-Resi on this one, some life, some lightning damage, which is really nice. This does apply to the the poison buildup on the Voltaxic Rift, so that's very helpful. Some fizz as well, and then this one is just some resis and some life. The little bit of rarity. The fire damage doesn't help us at all. For our amulet, we do rock a spirit amulet. This is just so that we can have more Trail of Caltrops, or we can have the Wind Dancer and Ghost Dance. Blasphemy and Withering Presence kind of going off as well. We do have that Temp Chains Blasphemy, which I didn't mention there, and a Withering Presence aura. So the Tiara, we have a little bit of energy shield on this one, a little bit of lightning resistance. This is okay. And just playing hardcore, just to have a little bit of flat energy shield here, and a little bit of effective HP, which is nice. And then our bow. Our bow is okay. Has some flat lightning on it, has increased damage with bow skills, the plus level to all projectile skills, 30 to dex, and the chance to pierce. Chance to pierce is really nice. If you combo this 24% with some nodes in the tree, we actually get 100% chance to pierce. And so we can get a shotgunning effect of explosions. If an enemy's against a wall, it'll hit the enemy, it'll hit it at the wall, and boom, explosion, boom, explosion. It's 2 explosions, 2 poisons. Or kind of the same thing if an enemy's behind an enemy. So if there's an enemy 1 and 2, it'll hit both, get both explosions. So pierce is really nice. And again, I can get that without having to worry about taking taking pierce on Poisonburst arrow here, which lowers your DPS. So pretty nice setup there. And then on the crossbow, it's really just the added level to projectile skills that we're looking for the Trail of Caltrops here. Attack speed doesn't help. I don't really think the physical damage helps either, but yeah. Anyways, taking a look at the tree, just because it's becoming a long-winded build here. I will show off, we have overwhelming toxicity, contagious contamination, that's for our poison spreads, noble poisons. We do take immune to ignite, which is nice. We take the 30% of evasion rating, also it grants elemental damage reduction. Do anything you want on softcore, probably take the extra passive skill points, probably take the life flask effects, do not cure or concoction. Have fun with it. We do take some evasion rating nodes off rip. We do come up here, we grab some poison. We got pretty much all the poison nodes on the tree that we can. Up here, over here, on the top right, we do take this chaos node for added extra chaos damage. We come up here for some intelligence, which we need for our gear and from our skill gems, and then some extra maximum energy shield, which doesn't hurt. We do take the life recharges instead of flasks, so our a set of energy shield so that we can use our flasks for energy shield. Excuse me. And then we also have down here some pretty interesting things. So the weapon swap tech, you'll see as if I swap to my bow, I went ahead and took some pierce here, and then the quiver nodes here. So whenever I swap to my bow, I take the quiver nodes, I get the pierce nodes, and then whenever I swap out of that to the crossbow to the extra weapon swap here, you'll see boom, I do take these projectile nodes down here. I do take all of this hazard damage, increased damage for each hazard that's been triggered recently up to 50%. And honestly, this probably works with Poisonburst. I maybe should not have this on a weapon set and just have this on both so that, yeah, as I'm dodge rolling and I swap back, that damage will still be there. It's probably a good idea. I don't know why I'm not doing that. But anyways, we do have, the chance to re-trigger it here as well. Other than that, I don't think there's too much else that I've taken, but we do have some levels to go here. Personally, I'm probably just going to fill out, for either a few more defenses down here, or I might take some more damage nodes like here for some more projectile damage. I might swing down here and grab this Joel socket and come up here for some damaging on ailments. Or even, I think I am probably going to continue down this path to pick up, a weapon swap for the hazard damage, and then the weapon set swap for the damaging ailments deal faster here, or just leave that on both of them. So these two nodes being close together is very nice, and I could probably hit either this batch here for damage, or just again come up here for energy shield or energy shield evasion. There's some options here to kind of finish it out. Bow skills, I could come down here and take this node, and there's stuff to do with it to really finish it out. But yeah, that's kind of the premise. Hope you like it. Don't really care for your like and subscribe. This is really just to kind of show off what I've been doing in hardcore. Who cares? Yeah, hopefully somebody takes inspiration from this and can have a good time with it. And yeah, if not, whatever.